Welcome to Marketplace Live. Let's defy gravity.
Hello, my name is Nadia Park and I'm the head of global marketing at NAVER Cloud. Thank you all so much for joining me here today, and thank you to Digital Realty for inviting me to this year's Marketplace Live. What is a conversation these days without addressing the pandemic? Like many other industries, the IT industry is of high demand because of COVID-19, both in its general usage and its sudden technological advancement needs. As more people are seeing the importance of online services, and in particular cloud services much like our own, I realized that there was another important issue that was necessary to talk about: the exponential damage that we humans are creating with the increased technological advancements. For as long as the planet can hold us, we will continue to advance our technologies, and that inevitably means more energy and resources will be used. But what can we do to satisfy our cravings for the newest and better things while preserving our world? And so while we are a cloud services company, rather than talking about the importance of cloud itself, I really wanted to take some time today to talk to you about the fundamental backbone of cloud services and a problem that's often ignored while building the newest technology. Today I will be talking about how we took inspiration from Jangeonggak, a 14th century storage facility built to preserve Buddhist writings using only natural energy, and how NAVER Cloud's data center Gak has implemented a myriad of sustainable alternatives in its construction. And at the end, I will demonstrate how we've already embarked on building a hyperscale data center to further develop the strong basis for cloud services it provides and to lead the future global market. Who is NAVER Cloud? NAVER Cloud is a South Korean development company specializing in IT infrastructure and technology, security, cloud services, and IDC services. It became its own subsidiary of NAVER in 2017 with the creation of NAVER Cloud Platform, which contained products such as compute, storage, networking, database, security, global management, and many others. NAVER Cloud started with 22 products back in 2017, but have grown to have over 170 within the past 3 years. And this year, the Synergy Research Group released their cloud services leadership, showcasing the top leaders in each region of the world, in which NAVER was in the top 5 for the East Asian market. The NAVER Search Portal, which has over 18 million daily visitors and 1.2 billion page views, 7,400 search queries, 2,500 email exchanges, and 450 image uploads onto MyBox per second. And the global messenger platform Line, which provides its service in over 20 languages to over 600 million users around the world and sends over 950,000 messages per minute. With all of these individual services and all these numbers, all this data, NAVER needed its own data center for safer operation and storage of our precious data. So after compiling all this information for over 20 years, we decided that we needed to preserve these precious contents. So what makes NAVER Cloud's data center Gak special? Here on the left, you can see a list of the requirements necessary when selecting a data center site. And while I won't go into detail, the list provided here is just a small portion of the pages on pages of requirements and goals we set for building the facility. And on the right are the images of the ways in which we are bringing sustainability into the building. I'll go deeper into what these images mean in a little bit. But first, I wanted to talk about Jangeonggak. Our first data center was named Gak, which comes from Jangeonggak, a storage facility in Hainsa, a Buddhist temple built in the 14th century to preserve the Palmandaejanggyeong, or the Tripitaka Koreana, which is the complete collection of all the sacred writings of Buddhism. This facility was created using only natural energy and has preserved the writings for nearly 5 centuries. And while it was built in the 14th century, the architects at the time were able to create floorings, walls, and building structures to adjust to the environment and prevent damage from pests, dust, or dirt. So, to fast forward 7 centuries later, in 2013 December, NAVER Cloud's data center was completed under the name Gak, in hopes to create the Jangeonggak of the 21st century with the unyielding goal to pass down every single data created by NAVER users to our future generation. And as you can see from the photos, the louvers were created to mirror the design of those in Jangeonggak. And while they visually do look similar, they also serve the very important purpose of blocking direct sunlight and glare to maximize cooling efficiency within the building. So building a data center inspired by a traditional cultural building pays respect to the preservation of knowledge. And of course, one of the priorities in creating Gak was to preserve the contents of our users. but the other main priority we had was to create an eco-friendly data center, in hopes that our generation, as well as future generations, could recognize the energy problem that lies behind technical development, which exists like two sides of a coin. When building a large facility, there are endless factors to consider, and even more when protecting the environment is part of the picture. Developing systems for the flow of outdoor air, water, waste heat, and electric power, building the data center utilizing and understanding the geographical features on which it is built, and extending lives of resources through reusing and recycling materials such as water, metal, grass, heat, are parts of the larger puzzle in creating an eco-friendly data center. So to give you a better understanding and an idea of what NAVER Cloud did, let's start from inside of the building. The server room is the first space that must be considered when building a data center, since the server room is the most vital space that is needed when providing the services. And because of the size of the room that holds equipment needed for energy supply and air conditioning is determined by the number of servers that is to be placed in the data center, it is of utmost importance to focus on these server racks. So NAVER Cloud decided to create a server and a server rack. The electric energy and electric current sent to a single rack is 6.6 kilowatts and 30 ampere, which is 3 times that of the average server rack. And since 0.85 ampere flows to a single server, this rack can operate up to 30 servers. Yet the height is only 9 units, or 40 centimeters, taller than the average rack, which is 42 units tall. So how is this possible? Well, each of our servers are placed without any empty space in between them because of the technology placed to sufficiently cool these servers, whether it's within the servers, the fanning, or in the operational room in general. So in order to do this, we have what is called the Data Center Aisle Containment System, or DUCS, to prevent the cold air from blending in with the hot air between the rows of the server racks. So by adopting the low energy equipment, the server room can be stably operated at a temperature 5 degrees Celsius higher than the average operating temperature of other server rooms, while also reducing energy consumption despite running 3 times more servers. The server room needs to have high air quality and a low temperature to function efficiently. Since natural breeze is not always cool and contains a lot of dust, we utilize outdoor air cooling systems to both cleanse and cool the winds to be used as air conditioning. And we have 2 systems for that, AMU and NAMU. AMU, or air misting unit, cools the server room with outdoor air in its present state, or outdoor air that's cooled by spraying minute particles of water. It basically acts as a humidifier, cooling the surrounding air during use. When the natural air enters these systems, they go through filters and there is a misting zone for cooling. And once it enters the server environment, there's hot air waste that's produced. These exit a sort of chimney and is actually reused for snow melting and heat in the winter. I'll go into these systems, these aftermath systems, in a little bit. And while AMU uses mist to lower the temperature of the outdoor air that's drawn in, NAMU, which actually means tree in Korean, relies on the evaporation from the air that enters a wall that has water flowing down on it to lower the temperature of the air. This wall layer is called the membrane, and it's where the air temperature is kept below 6 degrees Celsius and controls the humidity of the air. NAMU was created much later and has the advantage of only comprising of 1 large unit, whereas AMU has 13 units, and a backup cooling from other NAMU equipment, eliminating the need for a thermos hygrostat and increasing space efficiently, making inspection and monitoring of these systems much easier. Let's now look at the outside of the building and the location on which it is situated. The reason why we chose to build this data center in Chucheon was because the city itself is about 1.33 degrees cooler on average annually than in the city of Seoul, and hasn't had any earthquakes in the past 35 years. The majority of the electricity used to run the data centers is to cool servers, and so this placement in itself saves around 5 to 10% of the costs. The air quality is also much cleaner than in the city, making processes such as AMU and NAMU less extenuating and costly. In terms of the building structure, it's a low-rise building to minimize damage to the surrounding environment, and the cascading architecture along with the V-shaped outer wall allows the wind to easily enter the building. Of course, there are also trees and grasses on the roofs and surrounding grounds of the building to further be integrated into and positively contribute as much as possible to the environment. As a data center, we manage the flow of data from computers and smartphones through the servers, but we also work with the outdoor air, waste heat, water, electric power, and sunlight to reduce our carbon emission as much as possible. As of 2019, we have reduced 1 million ton of carbon emission, which is the equivalent of planting 660 million 10-year-old pine trees, and this number will increase over the years. Number 4 on the list is the systems we have in place to reuse the energy and materials we have. How can we reuse the heat, the wind, the sun, the water, and others as energy supply to other areas in the building? The first is solar energy. Having solar panels is not a new concept, but by implementing these panels around the facility, they provided energy to light the outdoors during the night and illuminate the greenhouse in the main building in the center, saving 217.095 megawatts hour annually, reducing 101.2 tons of CO2 emissions. As I mentioned before, servers release the heat that needs to leave this operation room, but it's also valuable energy. Thus, we have our snow melting system installed on the roads that circulates these antifreeze liquids that can absorb this waste heat from the server rooms through special pipes, helping to supply for heaters throughout the facility in the winter, and also provides heat necessary for the greenhouse and shower water. And speaking of water, rainwater in particular is collected to be purified and stored in a rainwater tank for further use, such as landscaping, extinguishing fires, and again as shower water. Finally, our resource materials are FSC certified, raw and pure materials that can be regenerated in a short period of time and produce scrap metal, waste glass, and waste concrete once used. And these can also be disposed for easy recycling to be used for the construction of future buildings. With these efforts for sustainability, we were able to achieve the LEED Platinum. LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environment Design, and it's the International Green Building Certification System that measures eco-friendliness of buildings. It was created in 1998 by the U.S. Building Council with 6 credit categories to assess a building's eco-friendliness in its entire construction process and operations, from building the structure, constructing and using the facilities, up to its demolition. The categories include sustainable sites, water efficiency, energy and atmosphere, materials and resources, indoor environmental quality, and innovation in design. This certification does not provide any advantages to the company or the building, but rather is to help people who participate in the construction process to work to acquire a LEED certification and to recognize the importance of the environment, to further spread the justifiability of being eco-friendly to the rest of society. Jangeonggak was able to receive the highest certification at 95 points out of 110, earning all the possible credits except for the ones that couldn't be applied to Korea. Another important indicator of the eco-friendliness of Jangeonggak is power usage effectiveness, or PUE. This value is derived from the total amount of energy used in the data center divided by the amount of energy the IT equipment consumes. The closer the value is to the number 1, the more the energy consumption in parts of the data center other than the IT equipment has been reduced. This number essentially indicates a data center's efficiency. Our PUE for Jangeonggak hit a record of an annual average of 1.09. But to give you a comparison, the average PUE of data centers around the world was 1.8, and the average PUE of data centers in Korea was 2.3. While our number is outstanding, we are still constantly striving to make any adjustments we can to reduce the burdens on the environment we produce. The 4 major areas of sustainability of Jangeonggak that I addressed today are only 4 of the many sustainable practices that we've implemented and have taken into consideration when building the facility. And while decreasing energy consumption is the main topic of today, and I haven't talked much about the specific technologies in the online infrastructure and the extent to which we are making our data secure and running things efficiently, we do make it our utmost priority to make sure that our servers are being monitored 24/7 and are constantly undergoing improvements and automation processes to protect the data with the highest security. So far, I've talked at length about the actual technologies and ways we've adopted sustainable practices in every aspect of Jangeonggak, but we also really need to understand the relationship between data centers and cloud services, the technology, and the environment. NAVER Cloud is, as our name suggests, a company providing cloud services as our main business. With the categories shown on this slide, there are over 170 individual products in them. As an online service, we need to make sure that our infrastructure and technologies are the safest, most secure, and reliable service. We need to make sure that all of these customers and partners can run their businesses smoothly, and thus we need a strong base onto which to support and grow with. Harnessing nature to develop our technologies to limit our carbon footprint on Earth, NAVER Cloud is a company that constantly thinks of the future planet and the future generation all at once. And with these values, we're building a hyperscale data center in Sejong City that contains the eco-friendly aspects that I've mentioned throughout this presentation, as well as others. A data center is not just a storage warehouse. The impact on the environment, how we can make the most use of our time and space is just as important as preserving our culture. Developing something as complicated as a data center takes time, but we really want to make something stronger and better with even more eco-friendly technologies than we had previously done. So I want to quickly showcase a 3D blueprint of Gak Sejong and the many architecture design drafts that needed to go into building this data center.
서버 시설과의 연결에 가장 초점을 두고 설계를 진행을 했고요. 그래서 운영 시설의 지하 그리고 지상 그리고 공중에서 건너가는 브릿지까지 운영 시설에서 서버 시설로 건너갈 때 불편함이 없도록 그렇게 가장 중점을 두고 설계를 진행했고요.
So data center Gak Sejong, what's different about this compared to our Gak Chuncheon is that it's a hyperscale data center. Basically, it's much larger. It's 5 times larger than Gak Chuncheon and will have 10,000 plus servers. But of course, we're making sure that it has securely and safely developed advanced technologies and can help to produce additional IT technology when built on these servers. And it will be a green energy data center with greater data security and data sovereignty. To reiterate the importance of understanding technology in relation to the environment, I have a couple of statistics. According to Korea Energy Agency, as of September 3rd, 2019, they stated that global data centers use 2,000 terawatt hours of electricity energy, which is equal to 1% of the total electricity in the world and more than the total power consumption of some countries. Greenpeace, a non-governmental environmental organization, estimated the world data center energy usage in 2020 to be 1.97 trillion kilowatts per year, which is 4 times the amount of electricity used per year in Korea alone. This is a global concern, especially as the use of online data is rapidly increasing worldwide, and the need for data center expansions and scale follows suit. So, as we build a hyperscale data center in Sejong City, we are asking the questions: how can we give back to the community, our society, our world? What can we do to help the environment? What can we do with our servers, the lighting? How should we position the ceilings? What lights should we use? What about air conditioning? All of these questions, from the bigger picture to the minuscule details, we're asking over and over again. Because there are records and memories to protect, there are data centers. I hope that this story on Data Center Gak inspires you to find ways to help the world while building your company and has provided some insight into how NAVER Cloud works to build success together with our partners and clients. For the future of our planet, we will strive to create a boundless future, and we hope you can join us on our journey. Once again, my name is Nadia Park, and I thank you so much for being here with me today.